This is Dorothy Kuhn. Hi, everybody. This is Dorothy Kuhn, your dementia turnaround expert here in North Texas. I want to tell people that I'll remember this conversation tomorrow, regardless of what Google or Hangout does with it. I'm sure Google Hangout will be fine, but I will remember it regardless, and that was not always true. So welcome aboard, and shortly we will have on the Hangout with us today the wonderful speaker, author, and trainer, Coty Evans from Houston, Texas. Cody is a relationship coach. He works with professionals of every kind to help them really improve their relationships, as he has done in his own life. A journey that he was compelled to learn and has really expanded his life tremendously, as those kinds of journeys do for all of us. The things we learn best are the things we really need in our lives, and they transform us. So Cody should be on in just a minute. This is our first Hangout together. So hold on a second. I'm going to look at my phone and make sure that he hadn't texted me with something important. Okay, I'm going to call him right now, live. Hey, Cody. I've got the Hangout up. I'm good. I've got the Hangout up, and I've just given a brief intro of you. Do you need anything to be able to join? I know this is new for us. Hold on.
There we go. Oh, there we
I
go.
see. Okay, great.
All right, we're finally there.
Perfect. Did you join? Did you hear my intro of you?
No.
Okay. Well, I will be glad to do that again. So I'm going to hang up because we're on Hangout. But okay, Cody, this is like so much fun. I can't believe it.
Well, yeah, hopefully we'll keep this going well. Do you have your, I can barely hear you. Is your volume up?
Well, let me see.
There it goes.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good feedback.
Well, I got to be able to hear you, right, to be able to answer questions and for you to be able to answer mine.
You bet. And for other people to be able to hear us both. You sound great.
Oh, thank you. I've got that thing cranked all the way up.
All the way up. You know, I'm trying to, let me turn this. Does that make it louder?
You're good. You're good. No, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I'll give you a bit of an intro again. How about that?
Okay, so you're going to interview me first. Is that how we're doing it?
That is perfectly fine.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure we're on the same page so I don't start asking you questions.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Okay, everybody, we've got the technology figured out now. This is our first time. We're incredibly excited to be able to do this. It's a new chapter and what it is that we're doing and bringing what we do out to the world. So introducing today, Mr. Coty Evans of Houston, Texas. Actually, it's just outside Houston. And he is a relationship coach for companies and professionals all over the US and beyond. He does absolutely fabulous work, and he is the author of this wonderful book, The Chronicles of Nana, and that is how we were introduced by a fellow speaker and friend of both of ours, Melanie Bragg of Houston. She is an attorney and does fabulous work there. So, hey, Melanie, have a great one. I love that gal. She is huge. Anyway, Melanie introduced us because, of course, I am live dementia free. I love living dementia free. It's great. And Cody's, it's your wife's grandmother. Is that right, Cody?
Correct.
Right. So has is in dementia, and so he can really speak to a couple of things about that, in addition to his the wonderful relationship work that he does. And relationships play so much into dementia because our relationships change as people change. And dementia is a big way in which people change. We love it that we don't have to change with dementia. We can say no, thank you, and goodbye to that stuff. And Cody is here to help us understand what it is to really turn around from things that we don't want in our lives, to step into things that we do want in our lives, and to give us some insights about how he and his wife have really learned from his wife's grandmother. So, Cody, are you ready?
I believe so. Thank you for that great introduction. That was very kind.
It's a pleasure. I just love getting to work with the best people. So, Cody, let me just ask you real quick to tell our listeners a little bit about how you got started, how you discovered your passion to embrace the mindset to create new habits that have powered your success.
Well, honestly, this is an answer that I give very frequently, one that surprises people, but the quest really began with divorce, and that was divorce from my ex-wife. We had a rough time, and I really just began taking a look at all the different things that happened and how we weren't in alignment and how that directed us toward an unhealthy relationship. In the beginning, I really just tried to seek out all the relationship books that I could, trying to gather as much information as possible, because I knew that I needed to start figuring out how not to end up in that predicament again, because those people who have been through divorce can certainly attest that that is a very painful experience. And I mean, the reality was I assumed that I'd probably end up in a new relationship. That seemed like a reasonable assumption. And as I started learning more and focusing on the necessary elements to have a successful relationship, my eyes were just open to a brand new world. And that brand new world was personal development. Now, that was over a decade ago, and I continue to use that experience as fuel to remind me that I need to keep evolving and maintaining healthy habits if I want to be successful. And the great thing, Dorothy, is that those healthy habits play across all aspects of our lives, whether it be at work, work-life balance, team building, relationships, leadership, whatever it is. And so those are the types of things that I share with people. That's the new mindset. And I share those things with people to have happier, healthier relationships. And that's professionally, that's personally. And because those things are always on my mind, being able to teach people, it keeps me grounded and keeps me from going backwards.
Awesome. I completely understand that journey. So I didn't mention that Cody and I both have these big science backgrounds, his in chemistry and mine in physics. And so when you start life in kind of the geeky end of life, which I was definitely a geek, then expanding, yeah.
Confession time.
Confession time. And so learning how to be, to rest into, I was a geek because personal relationships were difficult for me. I didn't really get them. And so the way that I managed was to focus on things and tasks and strategies. Now, that was hard for me in the relationship space, but I was able to use those tasks and strategies and my ability to focus when I was interested in improving relationships to be able to do that, right? I just leveraged the skills I had to go into it.
Perfect. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's where that science starts to really come into play. At least, if nothing else, we have process.
That's right. That's
analysis and process to fall back on.
That's right. And we love to see results. And if the results aren't the same, then we ask, what can I do differently? And those kinds of good questions.
That's right. That's right.
You bet. And that's a big part of a wonderful mindset. You don't have to be a scientist to ask, how can I do better? Right?
That's right. No, you do not.
So can you describe what turning toward what you want really means to you and how this perspective has led to your own success?
Well, for me personally, it really boils down to passion. And that for me, you have to have passion. That old cliche that money doesn't buy happiness really, really holds true for me. And personally, as hard as it was, that meant leaving a very secure, well-paying job as a research scientist for over 11 years to pursue that passion. And I left that world to become a speaker and a coach because that's what I really enjoy doing. I built biomedical devices for a living, and that is a crazy noble pursuit. It's an awesome pursuit, and it helps thousands and thousands of people to live a better quality of life. But I'm going to be honest, Dorothy, it just wasn't doing it for me. And so I do what I call turning the focus from the body to the soul. And while I have to work harder than ever, as you know, because you have your own business as well, I still love the work so much more. To be able to motivate and empower people just takes it to a whole new level for me. And so regardless of the money that I may or may not make in my lifetime, that really is the success that you asked about.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. And I completely agree. It's transformed my life and made it richer and fuller. You know, I have a wonderful mentor who says, Marshall Weeder, who says, mastery is not only about depth, it's about range. And it's great to expand our range. So what key qualities do you think people facing Alzheimer's or another dementia need to have to be able to successfully get the turnaround they want?
Well, that's certainly a loaded question if I ever heard one. And I think that the fact that you mentioned mindset in the beginning, that has been huge for me. And it really all starts from that mindset and to get this quote unquote success. A disclaimer that I need to make really quickly, however, is that you and we're coming at this from two different perspectives. You have the personal relationship with dementia that you've dealt with. I'm coming at it as a caregiver. And this is dealing with my 91-year-old grandmother-in-law, my wife's grandmother, who has stage 6 Alzheimer's. So the key qualities that you and Dorothy, probably would talk about may be a little bit different, although I know some of them would be symbiotic. With that said, when you ask me about turnaround, that for me has been more about what my wife and I can do to shift our mindset to be better caregivers. And the driver behind that really is the fact that we want to maintain a good, healthy relationship with our loved one in spite of the disease. And so this really goes back to that quality of mindset that you mentioned. Now, there are many other qualities, as you know and as you profess when you're talking and coaching your students and your people, your audiences. But these other key qualities that I think that you have to have, and the list could probably go on for days. I'm just going to give a handful. Patience, compassion, empathy, communication, tolerance, acceptance, a good attitude, and without a doubt, a sense of humor. But probably the one that I would say that we really all need to look at a little bit more is that you need a good dose of strength and humility wherever you can get it from, because as you know, this is not for the faint of heart. And we all are going to need to get support and strength from somewhere when we can't find it for ourselves. So I ask the listeners today, please don't try to be the hero in this. Get a support team.
Oh, amen. That is so true. And, you know, you are exactly right. We do come from those different perspectives, but the key characteristics and qualities, the human qualities that give us the ability to rise above the current situation, to be willing to look out and see what else is possible, is wonderful. And to your point, we can't, sometimes I get people coming to me saying, can you fix my, relative? And the question is always, that answer always resides in the person that you love themselves. You know, if they're willing to step up and do what needs to be done, then sure. But that's a matter of motivation, and motivating other people is something that is often indirect, and telling them that they need to do it is often the worst way to try to motivate them. Have you found that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I believe me, I've tried. I've tried to force motivation on people in the beginning, and I just learned that people have to be at a stage of acceptance and willingness to change. And sometimes that takes longer for some than others. I mean, clearly I'm an example of it can take much, much longer than it needs to. Exactly. But there's hope. It took me, 30 some odd years to get it. And so that does mean that there's hope. But yeah, you have to get to a point where you can go, okay, the responsibility really does lie on them. If they want the help, I can provide it for them. But not until then. Not until then is it going to work out. So that's a very good point.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And we can do our part to lead the horse to water, so to speak, but the horse chooses to drink or not.
Yeah, yeah. Again, one of the horses that didn't want to drink.
For a long time here too. So Cody, tell us a little bit about the unique transformation that you offer people in your work.
Okay, well, that's a great question. And I think that the unique transformation that I offer folks is the opportunity to have higher potential in the relationships. Dorothy, a lot of people pay a lot of money and focus on having higher potential in their careers. And athletes pay a lot of money to have coaches to get better abilities in their collegiate career or professional career as athletes to push them farther so they can perform better. But we really, really fall short and don't put as much focus on the personal relationships that we do. And so when I'm working with somebody, I'm really pushing the envelope, really, really pushing the envelope to shift those attitudes that we were talking about, to shift the perspectives, and really making it okay for people to let go of the control that we're all trying to have so that we can get closer to those higher quality relationships. And the reason that I want to do that is because I know that, and I've seen it time and time again, when I can get folks to that level, when they can do all of these things, then not only are their relationships going to improve, but every single aspect of their lives.
Oh, so true, so true. When I started developing the kinds of personal practices so that because we all get in let me see, I come from a Southern family, so my granny used to say, get in a snit. So earlier today, I was like, I had this anxiety come up. Oh, this is this first Google Hangout. It's a great interview. I want it to be just right. And I could feel those, it's fear-based.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when we're not at our best relationally, we're coming out of fear. So I did my personal practices to make peace with that part, honor it, recognize it, make peace with that part, learn from it. What does it need? It's kind of like, the angel and the devil sitting on your shoulders. You remember those old cartoons? And it got better. And I managed to use that again to calm down and be my best self.
Yeah. And the other part of that is that nobody taught us how to be in relationships. It was just a kind of an osmosis thing. And I know that's not technically the term. Osmosis has to do with water. But we saw what we saw with our parents. And that's how we learned to have relationships. And whether that was good or bad, either way, that's how we ended up doing things. And unfortunately, they don't teach this stuff in school. So sometimes we have to go a little outside of what is normal and go get coaches and go get the help and go read the books for us to change the paradigm.
You're exactly right. This is for the interested student to go out and seek. And it's just so wonderful that you are out there sharing the journey that you've been on, because it's people like us who really enrich other people's lives with the kinds of learning and journey that isn't easily available.
Right, exactly.
So good for you. So what would you say are some of the takeaways to keep in mind as people go through this new journey to have happier, healthier balance as a caregiver and more peace of mind?
Well, really what I try to teach people, and the things that I've used to approach this include many, many things. Number one, remembering that it's really important to stay connected with the person that you love, not only for your sake, but for theirs as well. Because when people are having a hard time forgetting, they not necessarily are going to remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how they feel. So that's really important. Stay connected, do things that are more positive if possible. Number two, keep in mind that it's greatly important to have a support system and find resources where you can get the assistance in caregiving, because as I mentioned earlier, this is not something that you want to do by yourself, no matter if you're dealing with it as a person who has it or if you're a caregiver. Get some help. Make sure you're maintaining healthy boundaries. Boundaries are something that you and I probably talk a lot about, whether we're dealing with corporate or whether we're dealing with individuals. You have to have them. And then try to come up with a process or a method for handling tasks. Again, I know that a lot of that comes from my science background, but I found it extremely valuable when I can put things in segments and I can put a process on them. It helps me to remember what I need to do and get through it, and especially considering time management. I mean, we all struggle with time management, but when you're having to be a caregiver and you're trying to balance how you're going to deal with work and caring for the people that you love and going to the grocery store and all those things, time management becomes huge. I never would have dreamed. Oh, go ahead. You gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. And then, gosh, if I could say one thing that you do from the very beginning, it's treat yourself well. Take care of your body, take care of your mind. That means eating well, that means getting exercise and doing meditation. And then finally, please remember this. Alzheimer's is not an easy challenge. It comes with a lot of obstacles, and you do not want to face this alone. So I encourage people to not look at it as something that makes them weak if they can't handle it by themselves. It doesn't mean that at all. And so please reach out to somebody, get some help somewhere, somehow, and don't be afraid to ask, because you're definitely going to need the support.
Yeah, definitely. So, we don't have to be Superman or Superwoman. And to care for other people, whether they're, gosh, you reminded me so much when my first baby was born. And things that I had, speaking of time management, things that I'd gotten done in an hour would take me an hour and a half. And I just had to reset my thinking. If I think it's going to take an hour, I just need to allocate 90 minutes, and that way I can stay out of stress and have a lovely time with my new baby, who I loved beyond belief.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that you were talking about building time in. I had to go pick up Nana the other day for a ear appointment, and what normally would have been go over, pick her up, get her out of the house, and just go, maybe have taken 45 minutes, but this became an hour and a half long process. By the time you help her get dressed, tell her what you're doing, why you're doing it, walk her to the car, just all these different things. I love the fact that you said that. Make sure that you're building the extra time in.
Right. And be realistic about it, because that's your friend.
That's your friend. Absolutely.
Well, Cody, what is the number one thing that people must know to create better relationships?
If you're just going to give me one thing to create better relationships, for me, it boils down to respect, without a doubt. From respect, you can go to communicating better, to listening better, to establishing those boundaries that we talked about a minute ago, goals, values, and so on and so forth. But honestly, and you know this, if you don't start with respect, it's an uphill battle, and that's the bottom line. So respect for me is one of those main things that I focus on aligning my clients to first, because from there we really have a solid foundation to work from. And hopefully everything that I mentioned today shows that we really do, it really does start from respect, whether that be respect for yourself, which a lot of people don't have, and respect for the one that you're caring for. So if you're having a problem respecting yourself, please, I encourage you to go find some help in getting that, because if you can do that, then that respect toward other people, it goes a lot longer way as well.
It does. It is impossible to give something to another person that you don't give yourself, because you're a person too.
That's a beautiful point.
Wonderful. And there's nothing like self-care to make you a better caregiver for people in a way that is respectful and truly helpful for them, something that's valuable to them. It automatically gives you better boundaries and gives you the ability to improve.
Absolutely.
So how can our listeners learn more about you and your work?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, they can go to www.cotyevans.com, and that's www.cotyevans.com. And once you get there, you'll see a lot of information. I do quite a few different things. I'm a speaker and I'm a coach. But at the top right-hand corner, what you'll see is a place to join my newsletter. And so if they will put their information in there, then they can get a free blog or video tip that comes out just about every week. I try to get one out every week. And they can start getting information to build those healthier, happier relationships, whether it be at work or whether it be at home or the one that they're caring for. So it's just really that easy. Just go sign up for the newsletter and start toward building those better, happier relationships.
Awesome. Well, that is great. That's CotyEvans.com. Cody is with a T, C-O-T-Y. I always wanted to spell it the other way.
Everybody does. You'll have family members that do that.
Yay. But there's something really fabulous about having a unique name. So kudos to you for keeping it and being proud of it. And thank you so much for being here. This has been a fantastic interview. I know all of our listeners and viewers have really enjoyed being able to hear the relationship side that applies not just to dementia, but to any relationship that we have in life, and to know how important it is to be kind and good to ourselves, because life has challenges and it takes strength and character, perseverance and love to be able to live life as a full human being. And I'm so glad that that's the kind of thing that you bring to people professionally and personally. Cody, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dorothy. I appreciate that summary. That was awesome.
So
look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to see how to turn this off. I'm still getting used to this Google Hangout stuff, but it's kind of easy. I'm going to hit stop broadcast now. So let's say goodbye.
Dorothy, thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.